This is my wife, Lisa, and we want to share some things with you this morning that we're very excited about. And this is what we call the State of the Church Address. It's not just the President of the United States that gets to do that. I get to do that once a year, and I'll be delivering a message as well this morning. But we want to share with you what's happening in your church and to give you an understanding of it. Some of the things that I'll be sharing and Lisa will be sharing have to do with numbers. There is a book in the Bible called Numbers, and we will share some numbers with you. But I am so overwhelmed, and I have been over the last few weeks, of just recognizing what God did in 2016 for us. How he blessed so many of us in this community, pouring out, putting families together, bringing some of you to Jesus in the year 2016, rededicating hearts and lives, healings that have happened, just tremendous things. And I want to give God the glory that though we may be speaking of some numbers, believe me when I say we're not into numbers. Behind the numbers are the people and the impact for the kingdom. And can you say amen to that? But here are some thoughts for you, because we want you to be aware again of what's happening in your church. In 2016, we had an increase of 8% over the year before in our attendance. The average attendance is 452 on Sunday mornings, and that's an 87% growth in the last 4 years. In fact, last Sunday, I looked at just some of the, again, numbers of what had come in, that we had 180 more people last Sunday than we had a similar Sunday a year ago. And some of them turned around, couldn't find parking, and left. Ones that we didn't, count in those numbers. It breaks my heart to see anybody turned away that wanted to come to hear the gospel. We have the opportunities often for people to accept Jesus, to rededicate their hearts. And so we are going to be talking to you. I'll share with you in the coming weeks about plans we have to add another service here at Capital Life Church. And I'll be sharing about that in the weeks to come. But it will give us the opportunity to loosen up some of the parking in the parking lot and to be able to bring people in. Our purpose for being in this area is to make an impact for the kingdom. I have watched the sacrifice of people in this church to be willing to serve and to just be involved. And this is their way of putting their hands right to the till. I don't know if you say it that way, but right on the throttle. We're going forward as a church to be able to see people touch for Jesus. That's what we're all about, and we'll make that impact as much as God entrusts us to bring people into our care. We'll do our very best to make that impact in people's lives. There was an increase in giving in 2016 of 7% over the year before, for $1,008,736. I remember the days when we came out here and the church was just getting started and we were on newsletter support. And we would go to the mailbox and wonder if there would be any support at all to keep things going. And God was faithful in those days of small beginnings. God works in small beginnings. And I was watching a PBS special about an animal being born in Africa. And here was this little baby animal being born. And the mother instantly tried to push it away. And I thought, that's a rather cruel mom. Nobody wants a mom like that. But in reality, as the narrator was explaining, the narrator was saying the mother knows that in the very beginning stage of life, at that infant stage, the predators come and will try to extinguish that little baby's life. So the same is true of the dreams that God stirs within our hearts. Immediately there will be people who will say, oh, that's just you. Oh, people are already doing that. You don't need to do that. Oh, it's so difficult. You don't want to get yourself into that. You don't want to move. You don't want to have the lack of comfort in going into that area of the nation or whatever else. But if you will be faithful to take that step towards what is a small beginning, nobody's applauding, nobody even knows it hardly yet except you and a few others, but be obedient to it and God will take care of you. Amen? God will bring something beautiful out of it. We expended $855,831 and have a net income of $152,905. And we directed in missions $74,643. Can we give God the glory this morning for what he has done? Our current building, we didn't used to be in a building. We used to be Mobile Church out of the Spectrum Performing Arts Theater in Roslyn. God gave us this building and gave us the house that is next door. The value of those together is $5,440,000. Those are our assets. We have a $300,000 mortgage that was a mortgage that happened years before we came into the building, but we are expediting paying that off. Most churches will look in sharing assets. They have 1/3 of what is their assets in loans. We have not done that. God has been good and faithful. And we just placed 2 new HVAC units over in our home that is next door, the house that we have there, and we're getting it to where it's updated. That's like a 100-year-old barn originally or something. But at any rate, I know, it sounds strange, but you go into the basement and it's cave. I'm talking cave. It has the walls of a cave, but it's a wonderful place. And so God is on the move. God is doing great things. But behind what are these numbers are the people that we care dearly about and what God is doing through this church and through your obedience. So we want to share a little bit about that, and I asked Lisa to come up here and join me with it. And the first thing I'd like to target for a moment is missions. Do we have the Johanians? I see Sasan is out here. He's waving his hand over here. Sasan and Priscilla have been with Capital Life Church since the earliest of days, and I had the honor of officiating their wedding. I mean, we have walked through life together. And they have been amazing and are amazing missions leaders for this church and have an incredible cherry-picked team that is unbelievable that surround them and helping to lead that. Niger, we sent another team to Niger, and this has been years now of working with a relationship with Neil and Danette Childs. Neil and Danette were at ORU back in the days where we worked there, when Lisa and I did, and they were student leaders with us. And then we saw them marry and then have kids and everything. But the amazing thing is they went to Niger where there was less than 1% Christians in the nation and a lot of persecution and antagonism towards the idea of a Christian witness there. And to see how bold they have been to plant churches and to have a tremendous work now where they've literally seen the Christian population expand before their eyes through their efforts. They have known persecution. One of their churches was burned down, destroyed. You guys came to bat with it, and we sent a gift there. They were able to rebuild that church. So we see things that have a global effect that's happening through this church. In Niger, with the team, we sent, there were 7 on the team, and they discipled over 300 kids in the camp there. And then there were hundreds of others that they were able to reach out to in other villages. We hear the testimonies of where now these kids are known entities. They're like family members now. They're able to know them by name as they go back and make an impact there. Thailand, do you want to share a little bit about it?
I just want to add to the Niger missions testimony. First of all 7 of those missionaries that went had never been on missions before. And they're sitting in here. How many of you, is our Niger team in here this morning? Why don't you just raise your hands or stand real quick. That way you can see them. They're too shy. They're very shy. Very shy. You see them with these hundreds of kids. They're not shy. But one of the testimonies that came back was one of the campers from previous years grew up, obviously, over time, and he was one of the captains at the camp this year. And he was also one who was able to protect the church building from being set on fire, and he stood guard. One of the kids, one of the campers who had been discipled previously. So you don't know the impact you may be having with a child, and yet you see them grow quickly. As we know, some of the kids who are every week coming to church, you see them, and then one day you're like, whoa, that kid grew. And they not only grow in stature, they grow in wisdom. And so be praying as our teams are preparing. We have a team being prepared right now to go to Haiti. I'll talk about Thailand right now. And we had our women's team. They were all women going to Thailand. Janessa, our team leader, sitting right here. And there were 4 of them that went, 5 on the team? Yeah, 4. But they were able to go and teach English as a second language. Do you know what their curriculum was? The Bible. How awesome is that? And they were also able to do some construction. These are some strong women. I saw them like mixing cement and have shovels doing stuff. So amazing, amazing women of God. Not only that, they were able to go, and what was so unique about this team, being all women, the type of ministry that they did, they had such an impact. They were able to go into the red light district and to minister to women who felt worthless, who didn't feel hope in their lives. And they were able to share the love of Christ and to see these women receiving this kind of love and praying that they would get out of this lifestyle, but that the Lord has hope and a future and a plan for them. They're in that Jeremiah 29 season right now and praying them into that Jeremiah 29:11, right? And then also they ministered in the villages as well and did outreaches there. And then our Haiti team has been preparing all through 2016. They'll be leaving this month on the 28th. And we're still collecting school items for them in the lobby. You can see the box there for school supplies. So I encourage you to keep bringing those up until the day that they leave on the 28th. We'll make sure that they have everything that they need. But they will be ministering to over 1,000 children with the gospel. And they'll be doing skits and they'll be teaching and doing all kinds of fun things. They're also going to be doing construction in the villages and expanding a church and building walls for a school. So be praying for our Haiti team. Last week, you were able to raise about $2,000 with the barbecue and online giving for our Haiti missions team. So thank you so much for your faithfulness in giving.
We've got our homeless outreach and Coral, I don't know if Coral's here again in this service. She was in the first service, but Coral Brune, she has been amazing in really taking the local outreach that we do to here at Capital Life Church, along with her team, which is incredible, to new levels. Every other week, it's like twice a month, there are 200 bags that are filled with sandwiches. And we do it right here on the premises. If you would like to be involved next Sunday, we'll be doing it again. And we fill those and bring them to the homeless in DC. It's incredible because we have been able to really have church out there in DC in the park there to where we get to know people. Again, it's about relationship. Now names are known. Now we've actually been able to have one of them get baptized in one of our baptism services right here in the baptistry. And so strong relationships are being built there. There are lines that are formed when it comes to the call for prayer requests to be able to be brought to all of us here at Capital Life Church. With those lines, about 15 on average prayer requests come back from those that are a part of the ministry there in the park. And we have testimonies that come forward as well. And I remember, and you'll be ready to share the testimony about the ant, but I remember being with a subgroup of our group that went out to the park and being able to talk with an individual there who gave his heart to Jesus right there on the spot and praying with him through that. It's just the most amazing sense that what God spoke back years ago before we even moved to the area is becoming manifest before our eyes, that God spoke that we would touch and he would gather people around us that would touch everyone from the man and woman on the street that feel forgotten to the leaders of our nation, to the international community. We are seeing that right before our eyes. When we started Capital Life Church, it began with 8 people in a living room. 5 of them with the last name Schuler. Not very successful at all, especially when the other 3 moved back to Tulsa after moving us out here. But God is in those small beginnings, isn't he? And God is faithful to bring forth things right before our eyes that were just thoughts, just things written down years ago. Despise not small beginnings. God's all over them when he stirs them. Take that first step. Amen? But tell that testimony if you would, Lisa.
So something that we've done intentionally this year is to ask for people to write out their prayer requests, which in the past we would say, we'll be praying for you, or is there something I can pray for you about right here? But this time, people will stand in long lines to write out their prayer requests and turn them in, and then we're able to put them up on our website on the prayer wall. And you all have been so faithful to pray. And one woman was looking for her homeless aunt who had disappeared 2 months prior, and she asked if the team would pray for her that was down there that night, and they surrounded her and prayed for her. And they later received this text message. She said, "Prayer worked!" exclamation points. "We found her. Thank you so much for being bold enough and praying over us so that we could find my aunt." That's life-changing for her. So there are several stories like that, and there are stories that we don't even know. Sometimes you don't see the fruit of your labor, but God does. So we have to be faithful to plant those seeds and be the ones that possibly God just brings us along just to water it, but we don't get to see the fruit, and sometimes we do. So I encourage you to get involved in those ways as well. Something else that we did with the homeless downtown this year in the winter was we did a winter coat drive, and you brought in over 100 coats and hats and gloves and scarves and socks, and we were able to pass those out, but not just to go and pass out coats, but to go and love people. And we were able to feed over 125 people that day and pray with them. And so it was just an awesome outreach, a wonderful time, again, of being the hands and feet of Jesus, so that it's a very practical way of ministering. And another thing is that last year, I don't know if you remember, but we were able, the year before last, we were able to start a prison ministry for the women, which is, we work with Kairos Prison Ministry. And this year we've expanded to also ministering to the men. And so we ask that you would continue to pray for those who are incarcerated, that the Lord would encounter them in huge ways. And remember Sunrise Senior Living next door. We reach out to them every month, and we go and we have a church service for them where we pray with them, we have worship and share a message. And next Sunday, actually, if you have not ever had a chance to join in this ministry, they're just next door, our neighbors. We meet right here at the church at 3:15, and we go over, and it's really, you don't feel worried that you're going to have to preach, or we have people that are actually prepared to do those things. Really, you're just there to love on these people who sometimes are very lonely and forgotten, and they have relationship with one another, but they are so blessed when we are able to come. And our children this year have participated for the first time in ministering to our neighbors next door at the Senior Living Center, and they have loved having the kids come. And the children have actually loved going to be with them too. So we had an awesome Christmas service where we had Christmas caroling, and we had solos with violins and flutes and all kinds of special things for them as well. So we continue to pray for them, and we'll be even bringing some. We have winter tea coming up for the women, and we plan on bringing them from the Sunrise Senior Living over to be with us as well. So that is not hard for us to do. It's actually a very simple outreach. And so I would encourage you, just do that once in a while. Look on our website, find out what it is, and go over it. It's such a blessing to them, but I bet you that you will find that it is so much more a blessing to you.
And we also had our first Refugees Thanksgiving. 20 CLC participants involved in it. And that included our fuel team, and we had refugees from Syria, Cuba, the Sudan, and many other countries. We also went with some 1,000 cookies over to the embassies, and it was all set up for us to have an impact there, to express our love and God's love for those that work in the embassies, knowing that that is sovereign territory. The moment you walk through the door, it's the nation's right. There are over 120 foreign embassies, so we were involved in that. Then our Christian education area. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we have I used the term in the first service, exploded in number, but that's not good to say in the DC area. So, but they have terms like, I mean, we're naming our groups Ignite and Fuel, so hey. But, I don't know what mood we were in when we were doing all that, but Seth and Angela Johnson have done an incredible job of taking it to the next level in so many ways. We have had record numbers with the kids. We have beautiful, wonderful families coming into this church and then connecting together in life. We had a Sunday in December that had 126 kids. I mean, this is like, I remember the days when we were back in the Spectrum Performing Arts Theater. We had an alcove. We could fit 30 people in comfortably with temporary walls that kept falling on the kids. That's not good, to have it that way. But we've seen the growth, we've sensed the growth, and we have really great people involved in being there for the kids as instructors, teachers, as guides. And so, and encourage others to get involved because we need more as we're growing. We implemented the Orange curriculum, which is based on the idea that we are all created in the image of God. And that Orange curriculum has been tremendous and has made a deep impact. We have combined two of the greatest influences that are in a child's life, church and parents. So there's involvement now with the parents to a greater level of what's happening in their kids' spiritual life here at church, beyond what they do at their home. We have launched Kids Church, K through 5. We already had K through 5 as far as what we normally had for them in going downstairs and being active in that, but now it's actually Kids Church, which means that we have a speaker, we have worship, we have an offering. We're doing it right. With all of that, we have Fuel, the middle school class for middle schoolers, that has grown by 50%. We launched Ignite high school ministry. We had the Beckers up here with Nathaniel just a moment ago, and they're there as leaders in that. And we have a CLC Parents Facebook group that has been launched. A new life group that specifically is for parents, and that has been started. So you can see that a lot of things where we're recognizing the needs that we have for community, and we're wanting to be involved in that. We began some new annual events, Promotion Sunday, Fall Harvest. And if any of you saw that, it was done top-notch, the very best. And we'll be launching also what will be family movie nights. So we can look forward to that as well. And then we have women's ministry.
So women's ministry, normally we would do overnights and about 40 people could come because of this area and being mothers and just scheduling. And so we actually took a little survey and found out that women would really like to try out doing a one-day with an optional overnight retreat. I know this is a lot of details. If you're new to Capital Life Church, welcome to the family. But I say this to say that it was so amazing this year because 72 women were able to come together for a retreat in Annapolis, and it was just such a beautiful time. It was deep spiritually in the sense that the Lord was really ministering to women, and also relationships were built that had not even been there before that retreat, and many women have since then had a relationship built from that time. And we did something last year for the first time, and Tiffany Behrens leads our women's ministry, and she had a great idea that we would do these dinners that are based on zip codes, right? Because we need community where we live. It's out here we're used to about, everything takes about 30 minutes to get somewhere unless there's traffic, and then it's like an hour and a half to get there. And so we were really wanting to be intentional about this. So these dinners went so well. We had hosts that were willing to have people into their home and have dinner. It inspired us so much that we are going to be integrating this into our future with the whole church. And so we are hoping that we can find hosts to do these dinners in your homes, and you'll be hearing more about this in the future to come. And we're going to do some zip code dinners that will help you build community in where you live within a very small radius, 30 minutes or less. 30 minutes is a small radius here. And then also it will turn into that Christ-centered relationships where we can have discipleship and we're growing in our relationship with Christ together from that.
And then men's ministry, we have Jeff Abiad here who leads our men's ministry. Again, we have incredible teams that surround them, and talking about Tiffany with women's ministry and Jeff with men's. And I was able to be once more with the guys at the retreat, just an incredible time, deep investment, wonderful things happening, food related as well, as spiritual and all the rest of it, which is all good. And then the building, again, God gave us a gift of this building and the home that is next door to us here. And with this building in 2016, we refurbished the pews, put padding on them, and then we received a gift of the parking lot that we have here, meaning that it was made brand new. I asked the school if they wouldn't mind paying for it, and they said they would. And that was a gift to us of over $70,000 worth of value. So we're thankful for Glebe Elementary in so many ways, but very much a blessing to us with that. We had new landscaping, and like I said, the HVAC units that we put in over in the home that we have. And then we hired a brand new administrator in Terry Shepard. Will you please stand, Terry, that we can... And I don't know if David Demlow is right here. Where's David? There's David. Stand if you will. He's our building manager. And so we are in a place of very likely here needing, I'd say very likely we do. We need another full-time person on staff right as we're coming around the corner here. And we are looking at the lower level of the church. There is carpeting. It was placed in there, which is a part of the mortgage that's on the building from several years ago. But that carpeting is now coming apart. We want to be able to do what we need to do to bring the lower level to what we know on this level. And so that it's not only safe, but a place that will be wonderful for gatherings and the rest of it. The kitchen's going to need help as well. And right now we don't have proper furniture in the rooms, such as the room across from the kitchen and the one at the very end, the very large room. We really need to be able to make these what we would want them to be. We have goals of what we're wanting to do with missions and with benevolence and other things to make the deep impact that we want to make. In 2017, here we have committed to some missionaries right in our own midst, and we are supporting the Cochrans as Wycliffe missionaries. So we're expanding what we're seeking to do, that not only are we sending teams and blessing missionaries abroad, but we have ones that are right here in the DC metro area in this way. Let's show Lisa our love and appreciation as she was so supportive